Hello friends! Today we're here on a Dragonflight beta once again, and we're gonna go through the Shadow Priest talents, how it feels to play Shadow Priest in PvP mainly, because that's what I've been playing mainly. And I wanted to make this video for a long time actually, but I kept waiting for the patch. I knew deep down, I knew they're not done with Shadow Priest, they couldn't have been done, and they can't be done either because there's still a bunch of stuff that's broken. And in this video, I just want to go over the talents, I want to go over the playstyle in case you haven't been up to date or keeping up to date with all the changes. I'm generally kind of an optimistic person, so maybe my takes are a bit on the hopium side, but I'm pretty happy with the direction. I'm much happier with Shadow Priest the way it is now than what we have on Shadowlands. And I want to share some of that copium with you guys today. So compared to last time when I made this video, when it was literally the talents had just come out and I was very excited. This time I had more time to actually play with it a bit more. We had more iterations of talents, so I feel like I can give some better feedback. Plus I've been kind of stalking the Shadow Priest Discord for a while and the forums, so I have a kind of a general idea of what people feel about the talents in PvE as well. So I'm gonna try my best to keep this as short as possible, but I do know from watching other people's takes that this kind of video can take a long time, okay? So first of all, the overall feel of the game is pretty good. Shadow Priest is no longer a simple dot machine and a utility bot in PvP. You are actually a massive Giga Pumper. If you line things up, you can do stupid damage. You can actually literally 100 people if you get lucky. Okay, watch this, it's coming. That was the wrong button. Dead. He's dead. Boom. Like that. One-shotting healer, Korean swap. Dead. Come on, kill him. Boom. There we go. I have big damn. Don't die, please. Big damn. Boom. Oh my god, that pumps. Oh my Jesus Lord. The crits are insane and the balancing has not been done. Okay. We know that for sure because a lot of things, like for instance, Idol of N'Zoth still scales with attack power, and hopefully that's gonna change. But at the same time, stuff like Enhancement Shamans can kind of one-shot, Demon Hunters one-shot, Protection Warriors kill you literally by just charging and throwing their weapons at you. I've gotten 1v3'd by a Protection Warrior, so Shadow Priest feels very good, but Shadow Priest also felt really good and very strong in Shadowlands beta, with Mind Games doing insane damage, and then it got demolished. Similar to that, I think Mind Games is gonna get a bit of a slap on the wrist because it hits kind of hard with all the modifiers. I've seen 100k plus on a 230k HP pool. Numbers are subject to change for sure, so I'm gonna focus more on how the gameplay feels and not necessarily how much damage you do. But it's a little hard not to mention the damage because Shadow actually pumps. Again, when you line things up and you pop your cooldowns, you do so much damage. It feels great. What can I say? Shadow is no longer has to just sit there and cast and eat kicks, because a lot of the, basically in Arena, most of the things you do is instant, are instant, except for Mind Games, which actually kills people. But you know, you can apply all your dots with just Shadow Crash. Look at that, 3 VTs, 3 Shadow Word Pains, and then you get infinite procs, and you just do this. You don't need to cast anything. I'm not casting anything, it's just all instant damage, and it feels really good. On top of that, Shadow Priest has not great mobility, but coming from 0 mobility, this stupid feather does feel good to have. Fade is not a freedom, but it breaks slows when you press it, so you can actually kite people. And on top of that, we still have stun, still have silence, still have fear, mind control. We have roots now on a 1-minute CD. We can AoE root again. And whenever Mind Blast crits, we get a 75% slow. And Mind Blast crits a lot with Mind Spike. So overall, as an idea, in PvP, Shadow feels incredible. I'm going to go in a bit more detail when we get to talents. And again, a lot of classes are very good. A lot of classes kind of one-shot. But just based on the feel, SP feels really good. The utility is even better than before. Mobility is better than before, CC is better than before, and you know, having Dark Ascension on a 1-minute CD, shoot out void volleys, it's kind of nuts. All right, so now that we've all, you know, we're on the same level of copium here, let's go over the talents a little bit, and I'm gonna try my best to be as objective as possible. And I'll mention some stuff that happened for Disc and Holy, but for the most part, I'm gonna focus on Shadow. So we're gonna start off with the Priest talent tree. First of all, a lot of people are confused about this, but yes, Renew, Palm, every Holy School can be cast in Shadow form now. I'm in Shadow form and I'm casting Flash Heal, no problem. I know Disc Priests are very upset about losing Shadow Mend, and I understand. I think they have to do something about that. Maybe make Shadow Covenant for Disc, turn your spells into Shadow spells. I don't know, they have to do something. But for Shadow, losing Shadow Mend is not a big deal at all. If anything, it's actually better because now we have 2 schools of magic. Well, we have 3 with Mind Spike. We have Shadow Frost, Holy, and Shadow. So that's fine, that's not a problem. If you want to play a Shadow Priest in PvP, I'm going to make the spec for it now. The spec I've been playing, you can kind of see the little trail of what I had before. So we're going to get this spell, we're going to get a 15-second cooldown reduction on Fear. We're going to get improved Flash Heal for 15% more healing. And we're going to get a Protective Light. Every time you Flash Heal, you get a 10% damage reduction debuff or buff on yourself. Very, very nice. We're going to get Feathers. We're going to get Phantasm. This is our activating fairy moves, all snared effects. Very, very nice. We're going to get Mind Control. We're going to get our Roots here. This choice here, Roots is actually useful. Sheer Terror is useless. Okay, 75% higher threshold on Fear breaking is useless in most situations. I would love to have something like Mind Bomb here. Maybe the stun variation has been preached for PvEers. I know. Oh yeah, I guess we're gonna have to talk about the elephant in the room here, the Twins of the Sun Priestess. We'll get that in a second. I think a stun Mind Bomb would be nice here. So otherwise, we're gonna go Void Tendrils, Shackle Undead, Purify Disease. They're both very good. You might have to like change your spec based on what you're fighting, but baseline, I would not take them anymore because we have a lot of good talents. So we want Vampiric Embrace with Sand Lane. It's basically a little bit better than what we have on live right now. It's a shorter CD, but heals kind of the same. Then we get the Apathy, which is the Mind Blast critical strikes slow people down by 75%. And Mind Blast crits a lot, and most of the times is instant. So this is actually very nice. Then we get the Leap of Faith is really good, so we can access Mass Dispel, which they finally fixed to have it remove Bubble and Ice Block and stuff like that, because that wasn't in the game on the beta until now. And we always get improved Mass Dispel now because, you know, it's just amazing. Power Infusion and Twins of the Sun Priestess. I'm gonna try to make this as short as possible. There's been articles, movies, documentaries made about this little thing here. Blizzard insists on having priests have Power Infusion castable on other people, and since that would be just kind of toxic on its own because Shadow Priests or priests want to have their own cooldowns as well, they just gave us baseline Twins of the Sun Priestess, meaning whenever you give PI to someone else, you also get the effect. The problem with this is basically Shadow Priest brings a huge cooldown to another class. So on paper, Shadow can never be top damage in anything. If Shadow is top damage in Raid, for instance, let's say you have 10 DPS spots, you just bring 5 Shadow Priests or even 10 Shadow Priests and they just PI each other because they're top damage anyway. So I hope that makes sense, but basically having Twins of the Sun Priestess in a Raid environment means Shadow just cannot be balanced to be top damage ever, because it would be too strong. On top of that, we can't really have Twins and a bunch of other utility that priests really wanted in Mythic Plus. People call it the PI tax. PI tax is high, but PI is a very strong cooldown. Part of me really likes having Twins and really likes having PI able to just give it to someone else. Because in PvP it's cool, it's all about winning the game, it's all about doing the biggest burst, so it's very nice there. But in PvE, I can kind of get it, at the end of the day, 23 people are pissed off, you're pissed off as well, because just one person gets PI, everyone wants PI, but you give it to Bobby, the Demo Warlock, because he's top damage. And since you give him PI, guess what? He's gonna be top damage still. So only he gets PI. I feel like it creates a little bit of drama. I feel like it's not very fun. And plus, and this happened this expansion in Shadowlands, they're gonna nerf classes based on PI value. Like, I'm pretty sure Demo Warlock actually got nerfed because of PI interaction. So basically I feel like no one's happy with this. But yeah, that's my little rant there. PI tax is high, and that's why we can't have a lot of utility we would like to have otherwise. All right, rant over, moving on. Obviously we're gonna pick it because it's OP. We're gonna go over Twist of Fate. We're gonna grab that. We're gonna grab Throes of Pain, increase a little bit of damage to Shadow Word Pain, which is kind of boring, but we need it to unlock Mind Games. Mind Games is a monster. It hits for so hard. It says 38,000 in the tooltip. You have damage modifiers. This thing hits for, the highest I've hit was 130k, and I have 220k HP. I like getting big Mind Games, but even I can see this is maybe a little too much. And in PvE, button bloat is somewhat real. I don't know when exactly you have to press Mind Games. I mean, on CD probably. I like Mind Games. I want it to stay. But the initial damage being this high kind of gives me some PTSD. Like, I don't really want to get hit by 100k Mind Games from a Disc Priest, you know what I mean? But it's broken, we pick it. We're gonna get Manipulation to reduce its cooldown, to like desync it and catch people by surprise, and Shatter Perception to add another 25% more damage. Very, very nice. Then we're gonna get this thing, Translucent Image, which is a 10% damage mitigation on Fade. And here's where things get a little interesting, okay? If they kind of buff up Angelic Bulwark, which is 15% shield, 15% of your total HP shield when you drop low, that's nothing. That's a power word shield. I would really like to have improved Fade. I would take Void Shield. Maybe I'd take this, and maybe I'd take that. Between Divine Star and Halo in PvP, they're both kind of just extra. You don't really have time because you have so many procs and so many things to do, and it feels so good. This is useless. Plus, it doesn't interact with really anything. I don't take these. So this is what I would like say it makes the most sense when you look at things. But let me tell you, gentlemen, this is the new technology. You go Unwavering Will, okay? It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. When your high HP or flash heal is a little faster, not great. Then you pick Angel's Mercy. Desperate Prayer has a shorter CD when you get attacked. You go Surge of Light, and you go Power Word Life. Power Word Life is the new juice. It actually feels so nice to have this button. It's a little bit strong, but basically it's kind of like a scuffed Void Shift, but it's on a 10-second cooldown. So you just wait for people to get low on your team, and you snipe this instant heal that's on Holy School that can crit for like 100-something K. In PvP, it seems a little broken. It might get nerfed probably. You know, they do have tuning knobs. Hopefully they're gonna use them. But for PvE, I hope it doesn't get nerfed because it feels so nice to actually have like such a unique... The Morat! If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the like button so that I may feed my Morat the souls it deserves. Thank you very much. In Mythic Plus, SP basically has this very unique utility of PI and Power Word Life. I feel like that's kind of it. We do have sort of a silence, kind of an interrupt, but Power Word Life actually makes things interesting. If you're in the beta and you haven't tried it, I suggest you try it out. It's kind of hard to like see how good it is now when you just do heroic dungeons because nobody really takes any damage. But this looks really good. You know, someone sits in the fire or something. If the key is not too high and they don't get completely one-shot, you can snipe people and save the party, save the key and be the savior. And not only that, but you also proc a nice little Twist of Fate for increased damage. Hey, if anything, you're gonna go into the fire yourself and then heal yourself, and GG, you're top damage now. I feel like this is kind of the best talents you could pick. And it actually also looks pretty nice. You know, you go left side and right side. It looks pretty sick. You could play Prayer of Mending. You could play Renew. You could play Holy Nova and get these Blessed Recovery, which might be overpowered. I'm not really sure. I haven't really tried it. But it sounds good. You know, being struck by a melee ranged critical hit will heal you for 20% of the damage. Sounds pretty decent. Spell Warding also not too bad. 3% less damage on spells. Void Shield is actually way better than it is on retail because your shields are bigger. So Void Shield also could be pretty good. There's a bunch of talents that you could pick, but I feel like this is just so nice right now. I know I'm going to trigger some people if I say this, but I feel like for the most part, even in PvE, people are pretty happy with this and wouldn't be super disappointed if this is, you know, the end. This is how it gets shipped. I think people would be kind of okay with it. I know there's a bunch of some dead talents for other specs. For instance, Vampiric Embrace for Holy, this thing for Shadow. But I don't, you know, that's just the nature of how Priest works. You have 2 healing specs, 1 DPS spec. I know there's a big problem with Disc and Shadow Mend and Shadow Covenant, but I feel like they could fix that by... I don't really know what I'm saying, but maybe make Shadow Covenant. When you press it, it turns your healing spells or some of your healing spells into a Shadow version, or at least Flash Heal. It turns Flash Heal into Shadow Mend. And then in PvP, if you get kicked on Holy, and if it's, super emergency situation, you just press Shadow Covenant. Maybe you turn into Shadow form for a little bit, and you have Shadow Mend instead. Okay, that's enough ranting about the priest points. It's time to ramble on a bit about shadow points, and I have a lot more to say about this one. So starting off, Devouring Plague, same old, feels a little bit underwhelming, but I guess it does activate your mastery, it activates Insidious Ire, it's fine, okay? And it does give you procs of Mind Spike, it's fine, alright? 45-second cooldown, 4-second silence, kinda sucks, but it is what it is. Persian, Shadowy Apparitions, all the same. And then we have a choice between Stun and Last Word. Then we have Misery here, or this bad talent called Dark Void. Alright, Misery is amazing because it works with Shadow Crash as well. Misery also makes your Shadow Word Pain last an additional 5 seconds. It makes your Shadow Word Pain have the same duration as your VT. And then Dark Void is completely useless. 30-second cooldown to apply 7 Shadow Word Pains. That sucks. This thing should be completely uncapped. Either remove the cooldown completely, make it instant, or uncap it. Or even all of them. Because it does suck like this. And even if they uncap it, it's probably still gonna be worse than Misery. Misery is just insane. Then we go Intangibility here. Our alternative is Mental Fortitude, which makes our Vampiric Touch and Devouring Plague heals generate a shield if it goes beyond 100% HP. In PvP, you get focused all the time. This is useless. Then we get Auspicious Spirits or Tormented Spirits, which Tormented Spirits is just more spirits, but this makes your spirits give you Insanity. I definitely want the Insanity in PvP unless you play Idol of Yogg-Saron, which is bugged right now. But if this gets fixed and is good, you might pick this instead. This is a fine node. Here is problem number 1, Coalescing Shadows. It says Mind Seer and Shadow Word Pain damage has a 6% chance to grant you Coalescing Shadows, and Mind Flay has a 25% chance to grant you Coalescing Shadows. An orb, basically. And then Mind Blast and Mind Spike consume all your orbs to deal 20% more damage per orb. And if you consume at least one orb, you get 10% more damage on your dots. This used to be our mastery in Cataclysm, and it's scaled off the mastery level. Now it's just baseline 10% more damage on your dots and 20% per stack on your Mind Spike and Mind Blast. This is nice. It's kind of like you just spec it and you don't think about it in PvE. In PvP, you do want to try to stack 3 of them and get it on a guaranteed crit with Mind Blast. And even in PvE, you kind of still want to do that because Mind Blast just hits harder. So I would really, really appreciate it if this thing would proc only from Mind Blast. Whenever I'm trying to burst with Shadow Fiend, with Mindbender, I always have to Mind Spike twice and then just do nothing until I wait and I get my 3 stacks again so I can burst. And that feels really odd. Like when I'm trying to do big damage, I have to Mind Spike and then wait and do nothing and Mind Flay eventually. And pray I get my stacks fast so I can send my instant Mind Blast and do big damage. That's it feels really awkward. I wish it was just Mind Blast, but maybe there's gotta be some friction. I just don't like it where it is right now. And actually, let's go down like this. So Puppet Master basically makes your Shadow Fiend and Mindbender guarantee you an orb each time they do damage, which is why a lot of, we will pick Mindbender, you'll see. And also your Apparitions have a chance. And then we have Harnessed Shadows. Increase the chance of you getting a Coalescing Shadow when you deal damage with your Mind Seer. Shadow Word Paid by 2% and Mind Flay by 10%. And there's a 100% chance to get one when you are crit. So a lot of people attack you and target you. It gives you a lot of these orbs. These 3 are very, very nice. Orbs, again, as they increase damage to Mind Spike as well, it's just a lot of overall damage. But especially when you burst, it pumps. So Mind Seer right now, it works a little sussy. It doesn't work how it should, and they already acknowledged this and they're gonna fix it. Right now it ticks every, I think at 0, 1, 2, and 3 seconds. So it's really awkward to use when you do your rotation because you can actually get like half a dead global and it just feels really, really awkward. But they mentioned this, they addressed it, they're gonna fix it, they're gonna make it tick every 0.75 seconds instead. So Mind Seer is great for Mythic Plus. That's it. In PvP, it sucks. It's basically it's a spender now. When it comes to Mind Seer, I could rant a lot about Mind Seer in the context of PvE. I'll just keep this kind of short. When you do damage in Mythic Plus for a player that's not exactly a mathematician, it feels like Shadow damage profile is a bit disjointed. Like I can't really I mean, I kind of know what I'm supposed to do because I'm on the forum all the time and on the Discord, and actual mathematicians tell me what buttons to press. But it feels like you can do damage AoE with this. You can do AoE damage with Psychic Link and or Pain of Death. You also do damage with Mindseer. You also do AoE damage with like stuff like passive damage a bit with N'Zoth and Shadow Crash and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm not really sure. It's just multiple options I have. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's just going to be a matter of math. Like, what does the spreadsheet say? Are you hitting 3 targets? Do this. Are you hitting 5, 10 targets? Do the other one. I'm not a big fan of that. And Mindseer does play a role in that, because it's kind of like it's the spender in AoE, but you don't always want to press Mindseer. Sometimes you still want a Devouring Plague. If I Devouring Plague, if I play Insidious Ire, it makes my Mind Blast hit 40% harder. If Mind Blast hits hard, then Psychic Link hits harder, because Psychic Link is 30% of my Mind Blast damage is AoE. So maybe I want to do that, but no, because if I do that, I don't do the Mindseer damage, which is uncapped. So if you have a lot of targets, you probably want to do Mindseer. So it's kind of like, I'm not sure. It's confusing, but it's better than having Searing Nightmare, that's for sure. All right, here's one of the elephants in the room. Dark Ascension, Void Eruption. They made some sussy changes here. Let's start with Void Eruption. Void Eruption no longer gives you extra damage baseline. It just gives you full mastery activation. And the interesting part is it says each 25 insanity spent during Void Form increases the duration of Void Form by 1 second. Now, in single target, Void Form is a little bit useless because mastery activation, you have it almost 100% all the time anyway. So the only real benefit you're getting is Void Bolt. And Void Bolt is not that crazy, okay? You're like showered with instant Mind Spikes and Mind Blasts all the time. It's not that insane to also like throw a Void Bolt in every once in a while. In AoE, it is nice because in AoE, you actually do care about mastery activation. So in big AoE, where Shadowy Insight feeds you a lot of insanity, you can actually keep Void Eruption and Mindbender up for a very long time, and that feels good. But it's a 2-minute cooldown, which is fine. That's not the problem. I feel like the problem is the single target value of this is kind of bad. I wish Void Eruption had something more, something extra, something that rewards you the more you stay in it. Like, sure, each 25 insanity spent in Void Form increases the duration of Void Form by 1 second. Why? Why do you want to stay in Void Form for such a long time? Just to shoot a Void Bolt? Is that it? You know? So if you had something, a little something there, it could get to the point where it's obviously not the Legion version, but it has potential to get closer to what it was in Legion. Make it a crazy idea. Give it a stacking haste buff, or a stacking mastery buff, or a stacking something. So you have a real reason to want to stay in Void Form longer and longer and longer. And then people could like push and theorycraft and maybe even desync their power infusion. Jesus Christ, imagine that. And their Mindbender to try to get like to those crazy high numbers of Void Eruption uptime. I think that could be fun. 25 insanity spent during Void Form, increased duration. Yeah, I guess basically every Devouring Plague gives you extra 2 seconds. This could be really fun, I feel like. So this is a good direction, but this is kind of hypercopium. What we have now is kind of sussy. It's not great. Especially for PvP, forget about Void Eruption. We have Dark Ascension, baby. That's right, 1 minute cooldown. You make it instant with Void Origins. It shoots out the plasma with Void Volley. And you can also spec into Driven to Madness. So you have like a 40-second cooldown. 25% increased damage. You know what this damage modifies? Mind Blast, which is always a crit, which gets amplified more by Coalescing Shadows, and Insidious Ire, and Mind Games. That's how you get the 50k Mind Games. What 50k? 150k. So for PvP, no brainer. Dark Ascension is just broken, straight up bananas. And in AoE, in Mythic Plus, I feel like in Mythic Plus, I want Void Eruption to be as cool as Dark Ascension. If they give it like a stacking haste, it would be really cool for single target, but it would be kind of, again, obnoxious and punishing for Mythic Plus. So going back on that stacking haste for Void Eruption, in single target, it would be nice, I think, for people who want to have that playstyle. But for Mythic Plus, it would not be too nice. And Mythic Plus, it probably needs something else. I'm not sure what. Something else though. Or maybe it's that and some... Whatever. Okay, rant over. I'm sorry. We're moving over to Psychic Link. Mind Blast, Mind Flay, and Mind Spike deal 30% of their damage to other targets afflicted by your VT. This could end up being the case that we play this. Basically, Mind Spike and Mind Blast usually end up being my top damage in Arena. So we might actually play Psychic Link in a more rot comp. This feels really decent, but we just don't have enough points. Okay, having to spend all of these almost mandatory points at first gives us not a lot of option later down the road. So I'm gonna skip this, but it's nice. Mind Spike. Mind Spike now, it's what it used to be, except it doesn't extinguish dots, which is another problem for some people. You have Mind Spike competing with Mind Flay. Where do you press one? Where do you press the other? Nobody knows. It's a gray area. For PvP, Mind Spike is amazing. It's Shadow Frost, meaning if you get kicked on Shadow, you can actually still cast this. So don't hard cast Mind Spike. Don't get kicked on that, because then you can't cast... Well, you can still cast Flash Heal, I guess. That's great. I was okay with it being extinguishing dots and only pressing it when you have procs, but I feel like this is a bit more confusing for people. For PvP, it's amazing. For PvE, I am also confused. I don't know when to spam this and when to Mind Flay, and when it's a little confusing. There is an animation for Mind Spike in the game. Bring it back. You know, the spikes that go. Bring that back. All right, but we take it. Then we get Surge of Darkness. Your VT and Devouring Plague damage the chance to cause your next Mind Spike to be instant cast and deal 50% additional damage. And you have 3 stacks of that. That is actually crazy. That is how you play PvP. You basically dot everyone. Let's say 3 players and a pet. Okay, and you pop PI. Look how many procs I get. Like, these things on the side are Mind Spikes, and the thing on top is Mind Blast. Like, you get so many procs. It's just proc city. Look, I can't consume them fast enough. That's how you play. You just spam instant Mind Spikes, instant Mind Blasts. That's why Psychic Link might be really nice. We take that. And then we have Mind Meld, the crown jewel. Mind Spike reduces the cast time of your next Mind Blast by 50%, stacking to 2 times, and increases its critical strike chance by 50%, stacking up to 2 times. That's how you get the 100% crit chance on Mind Blast. You know, you just go BAM! 36k. Oh yeah? You have another one? I have another one. BAM! 36k. So there's a lot of modifiers. That's how you get the fatty damage. You basically want to stack everything, which I'll show you in a second. And let's move on here. Shadowy Insight. Alright, I'm going to rant a bit about this one. Shadowy Insight is probably bugged on the beta. Let me show you what I mean. If I dot all of these fine gentlemen here with just Shadowy Pain, okay? Look how many instant Mind Blast I get. Basically, I'm going to only press Mind Blast. Mind Blast. Can I get an instant? Instant Mind Blast. This talent, I think, is supposed to work proc per minute, but right now it's just percentage per target. So the more targets you have dotted, the more chances of Shadowy Insight proccing. And as you can see, it procs a ton. And so that's how in big AoE, now people, and not me, actual world first raiders have come out and said that this is probably not how it's intended to work, but this is how it should work. Because in AoE situations in Mythic Plus, Shadow Priest, if it didn't have this, you have no way of generating extra insanity in AoE. If you can't generate extra insanity, then Void Eruption loses even more value. Mindsear already does no damage anyway, so it loses even more value. And the whole spec just feels just very slow in AoE if you don't have that. What am I supposed to do? Have, 50 mobs I'm supposed to attack? Warlocks can throw Rain of Fire and get a perma infinite shards, and I'm supposed to just Mind Flay or what? To get my insanity on a single target? See, like, it doesn't seem right. When you're fighting a lot of, like, a big pack, I feel like you should get showered with resources. That's how every class plays. If it gets patched, Shadow Priest AoE, like big AoE, is gonna feel horrible. So I hope it doesn't, or I hope they compensate somehow. But right now, it's really good. For once, Shadow Priest AoE feels good, and everyone's terrified that it's a bug and it's gonna get nerfed. It's kind of sad that we got here, but here we are. But hopefully it's not a bug and it was intended, and they had the the insight to realize that this is actually like a really good fix for Shadow Priest AoE. So overall, it's this thing's amazing, must have. Hopefully it stays the way it is, and good job Blizzard for uncapping this, making it a percentage. It's amazing. Good job. I don't like one thing. I'm just gonna mention it. I mean, it's not the craziest thing, but I don't like how it when you have 2 stacks of Mind Melt and you get a Mind Blast proc, and I shoot a Mind Blast, it eats both the instant Mind Blast from here and the proc. But I guess that's how it should be, because you also want the guaranteed crit, So that's just something I wanted to mention, but it is what it is. Also, a Shadowy Insight gives Mind Blast an additional charge, so you always take this. Having an additional charge baseline makes the class actually playable. Thank God we have this. Thank God for Public and all the other people pushing it, because they wanted to take this off, and that would have been very sad. Moving on to Ancient Madness. For PvP, Ancient Madness generally kind of sucks, but seeing how Dark Ascension is a 1-minute cooldown, instant cast with Void Volley, and potentially even shorter cooldown with Driven to Madness, you absolutely take Ancient Madness. It is so nice. Go for the Dark Ascension and you pop off some big, humongous mind games. Now, again, Ancient Madness being the way it is also gives more value to Dark Ascension. Here's my zero-head take, okay? What if Ancient Madness changed based on what you have here? What if you have Dark Ascension, it is what it is? And if you have Void Eruption, it's the opposite. It's you get 1% crit per second, or haste or something while you're in Void form. That would make way more sense. But maybe I'm crazy, maybe that's just me, but that's how I feel it would make more sense. Mental Decay, duration of Shadow Pain, and Vampiric Touch is increased by 1 second every time your Mind Flare or Mind Seer does damage. This is amazing for AoE with Mind Seer, but for PvP we don't really take it. Mind Flare already has a lot of power in PvP and PvE, which I don't like. That's like one big criticism because of Dark Evangelism, Mind Flare Insanity, Monomania, or Screams of the Void, how it's called now, and the fact that we still have Mind Melt kind of worries me that we might get into a playstyle where you just sit there and suck people dry all game long. I don't think it's gonna happen, because this Mind Spike and Instant Mind Blast and actual big juicy crits is more appealing, but at Dark Evangelism, I'm not a fan of that. Alright, moving on, we have Shadow Crash. Like I said earlier, it scales with haste, it gives you insanity, it hits like an absolute truck, and it puts 4 Vampiric Touches on targets, or puts Vampiric Touch on 4 targets, and it does work with Misery, so it puts Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain on 4 targets. Amazing for PvE, great for PvE as well. There's a little bug here with Unfurling Darkness. I think it's a bug at least. When you Shadow Crash 4 targets, or even 5, or doesn't matter how many, it burns your Unfurling Darkness proc, because it counts as if, oh, you put 1 VT, oh, the second one from Shadow Crash gets used up. But it does do the extra damage. If you didn't know, Unfurling Darkness also does like 16k damage. So if I do damage on these 2 fine gentlemen here, and I just do that and nothing else, boom. If you take a look here, we got some nice crits. We got a 39k crit of Shadow Crash, and we also got a 32 crit of Vampiric Touch. So this guy just randomly took 70k damage. Maddening Touch. I mean, it's nice, but are you gonna really put, like, how many VTs are you gonna put out to actually make a big difference? Mind Seer costs 25 insanity just to press the button once. You need like 25 ticks. Like at some point it's just not enough. But it is a nice talent to have. It's not amazing, but we really want it for Mindbender. Mindbender, like I said, because of Shadow Orbs, you press Mindbender, it's a 1-minute CD, it lines up with your Dark Ascension, and you do so much damage. You press Mindbender, it gives you 3 orbs. First you got a Mind Spike, then you get the 3 orbs, and then you shoot out your Dark Ascension, or whatever order you want to do that in, but that's kind of good, because then you get the high crit chance for this, and then you, bam, guaranteed crit Mind Blast, and guaranteed, or not guaranteed, but high crit chance mind games. And let me show you what it looks like. Okay, a little bit of a live demonstration here. This is kind of like how Shadow Priest pumps so hard in PvP right now. Alright, so all you want to do is do 2 Mind Spikes, and then you do Shadow Fiend, boom, boom, boom. Then you want to make sure you do your 2 Mind Spikes, and this is the part that sucks. Now I gotta wait for orbs. Okay, 3 orbs. Mind Games, Mind Blast, and this one didn't crit because I did my Dark Ascension a bit too early. But, you know, 67k and a 79k Mind Blast. If this crits, this is like 100k and 70k on a 200k HP character. That's a lot of damage, and it feels really good. And you can do it every minute. You know, it's been 30 seconds already. It's nice. You know, it's nice. Mindbender is definitely the way to go, I think. Moving on, we have Dark Evangelism. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of this in both PvE or PvP. It's just a maintenance buff. It's not hard to maintain because it lasts for 25 seconds. I feel like if we have this in our talent spec, Shadow is kind of gonna get tuned around assuming that you have this by default. So it's kind of like a filler talent. It's fine. You know, I don't care. Have a bad talent there, whatever. Whispers of the Damned, kind of nice. Your Mind Blast and Mind Spike critical strikes generate an additional 5 insanity. Very, very nice. Mind Blast usually crits with Mind Spike, so we take this for sure. Then we get Damnation, because Damnation is just awesome. We're gonna put 1 point. Oh, before I move on, Void Torrent hits like an absolute truck, but it doesn't get amped by Dark Ascension. It kind of sucks. It's a lot of damage, but Damnation is just very nice. We're gonna get only 1 point here because I know how it ends up, so you don't have more than 1 point. What else we got? What else we got? These things. Okay. Death Speaker, your Shadow Word Pain has a chance to reset the cooldown of Shadow Word Death and, you know, make it do full damage. Death Speaker is fine for AoE, especially if you do Pain of Death, and you could also play something like this with Pain of Death, where it increases the damage dealt by 25%, and it does 40% of its damage AoE, and you can play Eternal Rest, which decreases the cooldown of Shadow Word Death by 12 seconds. So you have an 8-second cooldown of Shadow Word Death that does AoE damage and more damage. And then you also want to play this thing, Tithe Evasion. Otherwise, you kind of kill yourself. So I'm not really sure what's the best kind of combination you can play, but I haven't played this yet. I don't think it's that insane compared to the alternative. Mind Flay Insanity. I hate this. I hate that it's in the game because it might actually be good. It's a 70% slow, a ton of insanity, and pretty high damage. And if you play with Screams into the Void, it makes all your dots on the target tick 80% faster, which means way higher chance of getting Mind Spike. And Shadowy Insights, you know, it just ticks faster. So it might be a playstyle where you go like this, and you go Mind Trauma, and maybe you like do this for Cthulhu, and you just suck people dry, and you're just basically a suction priest, you know, and you can play Void Torrent for the extra suction. So this could be a thing. Again, I'm not a big fan of Mind Flay Insanity, but hey, this might be the way, who knows. But what I've been playing so far has been Enroaching Shadows. Increase the initial damage of Devouring Plague by 75% and Mind Seer by 20%. It's not exactly the craziest thing, but we want it for this. Insidious Ire. When you have Shadow Word Pain, Devouring Plague, and Vampiric Touch, your Mind Blast does 40% more damage. That is a lot of damage, and this was the spec I've been playing this whole time. It feels really good. It feels very crisp. You get the big damage. Damnation instead of Void Torrent. It's very mobile. It's very bursty. It's very meaty. It's very defensive with Power Word Life here. You know, you have everything. It's so good. But the thing is, we have even more good talents, so I don't even know what to pick. Because I want to have a Psychic Link. I want to have these capstones. Oh yeah, wait, we haven't finished. Let's talk about the capstones, I guess. What else we got? We got Mind Devourer. Mind Blast has a 20% chance to make your next Devouring Plague or Mind Seer cost now Insanity. And the free Devouring Plague and free Mind Seer do count toward increasing the duration of your Void Eruption or your Void form. So that's nice. In PvE, you probably play this. I'm not really sure. But in PvP, yeah, I would pick this, but I don't have points. Then we have Inescapable Torment. Let's talk about this one. Inescapable Torment is basically Shadow Flame Prism. Every time you Shadow Word Death and Mind Blast, your Shadow Fiend teleports, does some damage, and increases its duration by 1 second. In big AoE, like I said, you have permanent shadowy not permanent, but you have a lot of shadowy inside procs if you do a lot of Shadow Word Pains, which means your Mindbender gets a lot of uptime. For a 1 minute CD, it can be up for like 40 seconds at a time if you can just continuously spam Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death. And then your Void Eruption is kind of similar. It's a 2 minute CD, but you can keep it up for like 40-50 seconds. So when I was playing, it felt really nice to try to like get them kind of at the same level. It was like, oh, my Void form is about to fall in 5 seconds and my Shadow Fiend's like 7 seconds longer. I'm going to focus more on Devouring Plagues and stuff like that. Oh, and now my Shadow Fiend, I need to focus more on the other one. It felt like an interesting mini game trying to like maintain them as long as possible. But I wish, like I said, Void Eruption gave you like a little bit of extra help when things get dire and eventually you have to drop out. I wish I had a little bit of support and a little extra reason why I want to keep staying in Void Form for so long. And Inescapable Torment, aka Shadowflame Prism, is definitely, very, very strong 5 target AoE. And this is one of the AoEs. We have this as AoE, Psychic Link as AoE, Pain of Death as AoE, Mindseer has AoE. I don't know, Shadow Crash. I don't know which one's best, but it is what it is. And let me tell you, chat, about the super secret awesome special sexy sauce, which is Idol of Yashiraj. The only idol that actually feels good and is still bugged, but it worked at some point. It doesn't work anymore, but it worked at some point. So what it says is, summoning Mindbender causes you to gain a benefit based on your target's current state or increases its duration by 5 seconds if no state matches. And what it does is healthy, meaning if your target is I think over 70 or 80% HP, you do 5% more damage. Enraged, if it has an enrage, you get 5% more haste and you devour the enrage. That's not bad. If the target is stunned, you generate 5 insanity every 1 second, which is actually kind of nice. And I just realized I should probably use this when you AoE because 5 insanity per second means more Mindseers. But what I was using it for was Fear. Fear is actually so nice. It says you and your Mindbender deal 15% increased damage and do not break fear effects, meaning that every 1 minute you can actually pop Dark Ascension, Fear someone, Mindbender them, and now you have 25% more damage and 15% more damage for a total of 40% damage amp for 20 seconds or 15 seconds every minute. That is the biggest mind games and the biggest mind blast humanity has ever seen. And it's a bit of a meme, but it's so much damage. It feels very clunky, but it's good memes. Keep it in the game. I like it a lot. It's not very viable because usually when you kill things, you kind of want to fear the healer to CC and hit something else. But with this making you not break fear on damage, you could do it as a CC to actually kill things with it. So it might be really good for 2s. Maybe you fear the healer and you actually pop off on him. You could do all of these things and shoot a giant Void Torrent that doesn't break the fear. Could be kind of good, could be kind of fun. But for tryhards, we don't play that. Let's talk about Idol of Cthulhu. It spawns a tentacle every time you Mindflay and Mindseer. This thing procs never, so it does suck. It's very underwhelming. I wish this was I'm gonna say it right now. I wish Idol of Cthulhu and Idol of Yogg-Saron were actually activatable abilities, like on use. I know about the button bloat, but I want a tentacle, like 45-second cooldown, 2 charges. You press it, you summon a tentacle that does Mindflay. It's an on-demand slow, an on-demand insanity amp, or at least have it an internal cooldown where I know for sure it's gonna proc on the next Mindflay or something, or make it just proc more. Make it like Demo Warlocks with the imps. Make it a million tentacles spawn and they all suck the target dry. The way it is now, it just never procs, and even when it does, it's kind of underwhelming. It doesn't feel as good. Idol of Yogg-Saron is still bugged. It says after conjuring 50 apparitions, you summon a thing from beyond, and the thing from beyond does very low damage, but again, we're not focusing on damage here. It's kind of bugged because it counts each time you use an ability that would generate an apparition. So every Mind Blast counts as 1, but you can summon 10 apparitions with 1 Mind Blast. But no, it doesn't work like that. I think it's bugged. So this, in theory, if you have a big pool, you could have a bunch of these boys. You just summon 3 of them, and it looks cool. They do kind of low damage, but it looks really cool. They're like a big faceless monster. I wish this was somewhat activatable as well. I want to be able to control my damage a little bit more. It's kind of underwhelming the way they are. And then we have Idol of N'Zoth. The final talent, damage dealt by Shadowward Pain, Vampiric Touch, and Devouring Plague has a 20% chance to apply Encroaching Void. Each time Encroaching Void is applied, it has a chance to collapse, dealing damage until all nearby enemies until no stacks remain. This in theory is really good, but in PvP it breaks CC. It looks very cool, and it scales with attack power currently, which is hopefully not how it's gonna stay. Hopefully it's not gonna stay like that. This is the talent tree I would play in PvP, and you can do it like I showed you. You can do some big damage. You have good mobility, very good utility, very like short cooldowns, 1 minute CD, massive mega damage. Mind Game is gonna be nerfed. It's too strong, the initial damage at least. Power Word Life feels amazing. I want to say please don't nerf that, but I can see it being too strong and obnoxious to fight against. You're gonna have to CC priests. It's basically like a scuffed void shift, but every 10 seconds. And there's one last thing I want to mention, which is not exactly a Shadow Priest feedback, but I just thought I might mention it and throw it in there. The brand new PvP trinket set bonus. It's Relentless baked into a PvP trinket bonus, baseline for everyone, which means Orc Priest, not to play. Orc in general, not that good anymore. It's not bad because Orc Racial is, the on use is okay, and you still have, I guess, 5% shorter stuns compared to just having Relentless, but this brings all the other races up a lot. Like everything that's not human or orc is actually very playable. I don't know what's going to be the best race for undead. I spoiled it. For Shadow Priest, maybe Panda, probably the best, but Undead looks the best. It looks sick, so I stay Undead. But the Panda's probably the best. Stun, Silence, Fear, Root, Mind Blast, almost a Root, Mind Control, and Panda Incap. That's crazy. That's so much CC you have. So yeah, that has been my little thesis. I'm sure I haven't covered everything, and I know I rambled a lot. My voice hurts, but this is kind of like what I've been saying on my stream for a while, and I wanted to have here on YouTube for hopefully, maybe if you guys haven't been caught up with the hype of Dragonflight. Dragonflight looks insane. From everything I've seen, Dragonflight does seem like a really fun, good expansion. Okay, I'm gonna call it right now. Best expansion ever in the history of the game is coming. For sure, 100% trust. But before that, we have Wrath of Lich King coming in 3 days. So it's kind of difficult for me to keep my attention on one of them, because immediately it's like, oh, Lich King in 3 days. Oh, Dragonflight, brand new content drop. Oh, Lich King tomorrow, by the way. So yeah, if you're on the fence, maybe give it a shot. I think it's going to be a good expansion. And if you're a Shadow Priest specifically, don't forget to smash that like button and that subscribe button. And thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Also, look at this.